Folks, it's Jesu Otaku here, back with more Fruits Basket interview segments after a long hiatus. We're finally getting back to doing the show. I couldn't be more excited about it. And here we have two of the more, I suppose, colorful characters in the cast. There's really not saying much.
Awesome.
There's a lot of colorful characters in this cast. Pretty much everyone is. Starting on my left, or north or south, or somewhere out in space, I'm not entirely sure, because, of course, this is the internet. We have, Mr. Phil Bergeraff, who plays the character of Kyosoma. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Internet. How are you?
The internet says, because
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's just how it is. And over somewhere northeast, southeast, I don't even know, in some other direction, we have Jesse Frola, aka Demo Versailles, who plays the enigmatic Shigure Soma. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. I don't know what Kyo's problem is, because the internet loves me.
Yeah, just roll around in it and enjoy the nonsense that is the internet. Okay, cool. Well, I guess I'll start off where we began. Begin at the beginning, I suppose, which was a long time ago, and a little trickier to remember now, perhaps, than it was when I did the first segments with Evan and Heather and Majoriku and Ben. From what you can recall, talk about the audition process, what it was like for you, and how you got your part. And I can preface this by saying that both of you were an unusual case in that you were cast within, I think three days of auditions even being put up, before I think they were even announced on a larger level. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, I guess we'll start with Phil.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw the audition and that guy with the glasses, and the video played, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks super exciting! I want to do this." And I remember at the end of the video, it said something to the effect of, "You better go audition now because one of the major roles is already filled."
I wonder who that could have been.
Yeah, it could have been anyone. So, I mean, at that time, I had only seen the Fruits Basket anime, so my favorite character at the time was Shigure. So I was like, oh, you know what? As long as that one character's now Shigure, this is going to be working out just fine. And yeah, and then I went over and looked at the cast list and was like, oh.
You're welcome.
Turns out you're amazing, though, so I'm not that upset about it. But I looked at it and was like, oh, no. And then for about a minute, I was depressed. Then I got over myself and was like, wait, who are all these other characters? Well, I don't know that person. I don't know that person. And so eventually I ended up auditioning for just about every male character that was up at the time. I auditioned for Kyo, Ayame, Haru, Kakaru, Kazuma, really just about everybody. Spent a couple of hours recording those, felt like really excited about them and sent them in. I felt they were like really nice, like the sort of stuff where even if I didn't get a part, I could be really proud because I thought I did my absolute best on them. I was like, yeah, okay, I could be satisfied with that. And then I think a day, maybe less than a day later, I got an email from you, Jo, saying something to the effect of, yeah, thanks for the auditions. I strongly encourage you to record an audition for Yuki. Which was a position a part I kind of intentionally avoided because, again, having only seen the anime, I was like, Yuki. So I went in and I was like, okay, I can record for an audition for Yuki, and I did. But goodness gracious, Evan, if you're listening, you have all my respect because I cannot understand that character at all. I must have spent hours, well, not hours, but hour trying to record that audition and just not getting it. And finally, I had something that I thought was like, oh, okay, this is passable, I suppose, and I sent it in. And was like, I guess that's something. And then again, like less than a day later, Jo, you gave me an email that was like, okay, can we meet on Skype tonight? And just there's something I want to talk to you about. And I was like, okay. And I thought I was so smart. I thought I had figured you out. I thought it was like, okay. So she had me read for Yuki. So I think probably I have like a voice quality like that's Yuki-ish, but my audition itself was not that great. So she's probably going to give me Yuki pointers and see if we can like get me into a callback or something like that in the future. So that was my thoughts going into the Skype chat, and then about 30 seconds in, after some small talk, you're like, okay, I'd like to officially offer you the role of Kyo. and my brain just stopped. Oh, it was just like there was this mixture of like excitement and joy and surprise and a little bit of terror, and it just exploded in a ball in my head. And I, for a few minutes, forgot how to talk, and I took a victory lap around the house, and my housemates were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're not anime fans, you wouldn't understand." But that was basically that, and I got super excited and said, "Yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah, I'll be Kyo," and that kind of, and so started what was one of the longest months of my life. So. That's basically the process.
So, wow, okay, so you remember it much more vividly probably than I do, because I was up to my ears in just auditions and stuff like that at the time. And yeah, but my experience with Kyo was at the time I was being inundated with auditions and stuff like that, and I believe you were, if not the third, the fourth role cast. You were either the third or the fourth role cast. It was still very early on in the process, probably 3 days into having announced that on Tigwatig. And I kind of was getting lambasted with a weird sort of like, I don't know if it would you call it elitism, but like I was sort of being attacked for having cast parts prior to callbacks, not by anybody on Tigwatig, but by on a forum that I won't mention. People should probably know what it is, given where some other people came from that weren't associated with Tigwatig that were cast. But I advertised on, let's say, a voice acting forum and for it as well, because I wanted to get a nice wide berth of talent. And there were a couple people were like, you shouldn't cast parts if before callbacks. You should wait to hear absolutely everybody. And I'm like, well, I don't do it willy-nilly. I only do it if I absolutely know this is the perfect person for the role. And the reason I bring this up is because when I received Phil's audition for Kyo, I went, that's it, that's Kyo. And, but I was like, well, I can't, damn it, like, I can't, cast right now because, like, I'm trying to get these people off my back so I can continue to use this forum. So here's what happened. So the reason I didn't immediately cast you as Kyo is I was waiting for these people to just calm down a little bit, so they could kind of accept that I wasn't going to play by their rules because their rules were dumb. And I just sent you that thing to see what other kind of vocal things. Basically, I asked you to read for Yuki because I was like, well, let's see how he is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And like you said, you didn't. You're like, I don't know how to do this, and it was basically because I was stalling for time and trying to see if there were any other parts you would fit in, so I absolutely knew whether or not to cast you 100%. And so, yeah, once I heard your range, and I was like, well, yeah, he can do any of this stuff, but I think Kyo really is the best place to put him. That's when I was able to officially affirm it. And after having waited long enough that I thought maybe people wouldn't get so upset over the whole insta-casting thing that I had been doing at first. And I'll just say, I mean, I think it's also indicative of only doing it when I was absolutely sure that I didn't cast many roles like Yuki or Toru until like the end of the month, until like 2 weeks after auditions had closed. So some of them I took my time, some of them I just knew. And in your case, I just knew. You know, do fantastic job as the character. So.
Yeah, take that, mystery forum.
All right. So I guess Jesse had a very similar experience, although definitely not quite the same. If you want to jump into that demo.
Oh, absolutely. First off, do you remember the date that you actually started you first announced the auditions? Because I remember it being somewhere around my birthday. It was a very interesting week.
It was late March. I remember that. It was late March.
I did not find this through Tigwatig. I found it through your Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I responded like that evening, I believe, as soon as you announced.
That's why by the time I put that video up, I'd edited half of it, and then I had to re-go in and record myself saying, one of the parts has already been cast, so... Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for the voice acting forum thing troubles, because that's probably my fault.
Huh? Oh yeah. Well, not really. I just kind of knew, but going into, I guess, more your experience and what this was. But yes, you were the first role cast, and you were the most prominent. Like, I would bounce things from other actors off you. I don't think I bounced any of Phil's reads off of you, but when I was making some of the tougher decisions, sometimes I would come to you and go, "What do you think?" You know, because you were kind of entrenched in the audition process by that time. So yeah.
That's true. But it was a blast to audition because the sides you set up were really, really interesting. And as I recall, I also did not audition for the role of Shigure.
Oh, no.
Right off the bat.
No way.
I think
Everyone
I auditioned for Kyo. Yeah, pretty much everyone but. Um, the reason for that is because I didn't have a good idea of what to improv. For Shigure, you asked to improv or to tell a dirty joke.
Yeah.
I wanted to get my audition right into you. I was like, I don't do dirty jokes all that frequently. So I didn't have a repertoire. I didn't have a history of this, and I was like, I don't know what to do, so I'll just skip it. And you sent me back an email, or you told me on Skype somehow. You did a good job with your reads, but you just sound too smart to be playing the role.
I did. Yeah, that was the phrase. Because what were the three? You auditioned for three characters that were
It
not.
was Kyo, Ayame, and I think
Haru.
Hattori. I think.
Yeah, Haru, because Hattori is smart. It was.
Oh, no,
I
it was
remember
Haru,
being
right.
three characters that were not known for being particularly intelligent, and I said, you sound like you're always like thinking, like the gears of the back of your head are always turning. And I said, that's not these characters. I said, but I know one who is, and oh my god, you have to read for him right now because your voice is this character. And I told you Shigure.
Yeah, and that was just a perfect match. The sides for him were very, very nice. I believe it was a good long paragraph, rife with some emotion. I don't regret auditioning for the other characters because it let you see the depth of my emotional capacity with my voice. Yeah. So I don't regret that at all. I am actually still very proud of my Kyo audition. I don't think I could do the voice the same way you could at all, dude. But I'm still happy with it. Kyo was the one that had the "Please tell us a story" in Kyo's voice as the bonus piece.
It was about a bad day that you'd had. I believe.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But the audition process was a lot of fun. I was not expecting to get a response nearly so quickly. I will tell you that much. That was a shock and a compliment. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'd heard your audition. Basically, I got inundated with good and bad up front. I mean, again, that's why some of the roles weren't cast until close to the end of the month, because I got some ones that were just, bless their hearts, I appreciate that they auditioned, but they weren't going to fit a role. But then I got yours, and I was like, okay, this guy's talented, but, like, it's not just that he fits. And this happened a couple times. There was a gent, I believe Andrew Morabito, auditioned for, I think, Yuki, and he auditioned for, like, Yuki and Kyo and some other guys, and just every single role that he read for, I went, it's Ritsu. And I knew. I was like, that's Ritsu's voice, but he didn't audition for Ritsu. And I said, you have such a very gentle, sort of feminine voice, but you're still obviously, male. I said, please read for this Ritsu character. And it was just perfect. And I said, okay, you get this part, So with you, it's the same thing. Like, I told you, like, I encouraged you, is like, you're auditioning for characters that aren't terrifically, like, intelligent. Let me point you towards some of these smarter characters. But the one I wanted to hear was Shigure. I think I mentioned more than one, but the one specifically that I wanted to hear was Shigure. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And as soon as you send it down, I'm like, there, your part. Like, that's you. And I have been told by a couple of your friends online that apparently that is very much you. So
it's rather similar. There are a few differences.
Well, I would hope so. Yes.
I had to look up a dirty joke for it. I actually just went and researched one and read it like it was another side.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that resource. Another thing that was really hilarious about the casting procedure was you were dead set. I remember this on Twitter vividly. You were absolutely convinced that you were going to get flooded with actresses who were totally into Fruits Basket. Yeah, but apparently, for the first couple of weeks, it was 80% men auditioning.
And once the auditions were over, women tended to come in like 3 or 4 weeks later, maybe because I guess they wanted to hone. I don't know. Maybe that's a weird gender study right there. But I did eventually get girls auditioning. But even at the very end, like tallying them all up, it was probably still like 60-40 or 75-25 men. Which surprised me because it's Fruits Basket. But I mean, I'm certainly not complaining because there's a great deal of male characters in the cast that are pretty heavy acting parts. So I was pleasantly surprised, but I was like, man, I didn't think I would get enough dudes auditioning for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll move on to the next question. What was your knowledge of the story? I've already gotten a little bit of that from Phil, but what was your knowledge of the story of your character specifically going into the audition process